Alrighty, folks. Has interest rate cuts become a reality? How are we going to restart or maybe start a new rate cutting cycle? We have Jerome Powell Friday speaking at Jackson Hole. Will he step up and say, nope, not yet? Well, let's talk to Jason Hartman about this and see what he sees in interest rate land. How you doing, Jason?
Hey, good, Michael. It's great to be here.
I appreciate that. I guess the first thing to talk about is Jerome Powell, Jackson Hole. It's a big talk. I think it's at 10 a.m. Pacific, or no, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific on Friday. Is he going to get up and put a kibosh on the idea of a September rate cut? Or do you think he steps up and says, you know what, maybe? What do you think?
I tell you, Jerome Powell is becoming public enemy number one. He is really, really destroying people's lives. I mean, we've got to just face it for what it is. I used to like Powell until the later stages of when he wouldn't raise rates, when he kept saying everything was transitory. That was his favorite word. And he was right in the beginning. He was right. There were supply chain problems and so forth causing inflation. But he just stayed with that narrative way too long. And now he's staying with the other narrative way too long. And I think he's doing it just for spite because he hates Trump and Trump hates him. And that's where we are. It's really immature. Rates should go down. Inflation is not a major problem right now. It's just stupid. If he doesn't cut when he has the chance next time, I mean, I just think he's a scumbag. It's time for rates to see some cuts.
Well, certainly if you're in and around the housing industry, I would argue that the housing, mortgage, title, appraisers, all of that has been in a depression for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And, people are really struggling in that space. And as the most interest rate sensitive part of the economy, real estate, there's a lot of pain going on. And frankly, some of it's required, right? I think there were some crazy syndications and frankly overpayments done in the multifamily space. I think some of that pain is well deserved, but when you step back and look at residential properties, that's a different ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, look, there will always be careless people. There will always be crooked people. There will also be, opportunists that come out of the woodwork and are here just for today and gone tomorrow. The fly-by-night companies and people. Of course, people will always make bad judgments. All of this will never change. It's just part of human nature. But by and large, rates are too high. And we need to see mortgage rates come down by a good, solid point. And if we do, millions and millions of new people will now have access to the housing market who currently don't, because these rates are just artificially high. They make no sense at all.
Well, let's talk about that because this. The last time the Fed went on a rate cutting cycle, again, it started last September with a big boy 50 followed by 2 quarters. Mortgage rates went up, right? So there's no guarantee.
Right.
That, let's pretend for a moment the Fed cuts September, October, and December, which are the last 3 meetings of the year, or 75 basis points. We're just pretending. There's no guarantee, Jason, that mortgage rates go down.
You are absolutely right. It's a long-held myth that the Fed controls mortgage rates. They do not control mortgage rates. They only control short-term rates, but it trickles through the system through a bunch of very complex things that it's really above my pay grade. I mean, I understand the basics of it, but you can get into the weeds to a degree that is insane on this stuff. But it's really about the bond market, and it's about mortgage-backed securities. Way back to Louis Ranieri in the early 1980s, who just changed the world by really making mortgage-backed securities a big thing. And that changed everything. So yes, you're right. It's not directly under the control of the Fed, but the Fed certainly influences it and has an outsized, huge influence. Philosophically, I don't believe we should have a central bank. I think the market should control the price of money, not some board of governors. But we have what we have, and if the Fed eases, I think we will certainly see lower rates, maybe not immediately. And when I say rates, I mean mortgage rates. Maybe not immediately, but it'll trickle through the system.
Yeah, because when I look at mortgage rates, and again, I look at this stuff nearly every day, like you do. I know with nearly 100% certainty that there's a magic mortgage rate that's going to bring people screaming off the sidelines.
Yep.
And not to lead the witness, but I think it's 599. You get a freaking 5 handle on the 30-year mortgage.
Right.
Millions of people
Oh,
who have been priced out or waiting or concerned will come flying off the sideline. What do you think?
well, you're absolutely right. I think in the mid fives, we see a market that is now going to be multiple offers, uh,
Mm.
prices going up quickly, which, overall, that's not great, right?
Nope. Mhm.
But it also causes people who have the lock-in effect, who own their homes, who have these incredibly cheap mortgages. Yeah, their mortgage might be 3%, but if you see mortgages get into the mid fives overall, then the delta between their super cheap mortgage at 3% and their 5.5% new mortgage,
Mhm.
it's less, right? And people
Sure.
can, look at a lot of people really want to move. They want to buy a bigger house, a smaller house, a different house. They want to be in a different area. And the lock-in effect is causing that to just keep them from selling, right?
Yeah.
And so if mortgage rates go down, it also loosens the inventory, right? So it overall creates more activity. The economy will grow, it will be larger because more real estate brokerages have more transactions, title companies, mortgage companies, all of that, appliance companies, furniture companies. This just trickles through. Real estate is such a big player in the
Mhm.
economy that if you have just more activity, regardless of prices going up, down, or sideways,
Yep.
it's good for a lot of people. So it's just a really, really important part of the economy. It's a
No, you're
giant.
absolutely
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Real estate and all of its components are roughly 12, some say 14% of the economy. So rough and tough,
Yeah.
that's 1/8 of the economy. And
Oh, it's
again, as
huge.
I said earlier, yeah, 1/8 of the economy's been in a depression. You want to
Yep.
see GDP get going? Take 1/8 of the economy and, shock it with those paddles.
Yeah.
And, you'll be shocked at what happens. It's really funny. I was having a debate with a doomer, Crash Bro, one time.
Well, you can't lose that debate.
Well, this is actually a funny twist. So,
Which
after
Crash Bro was it?
I don't name names. It's
Okay.
just one of the many idiots who have a
Yeah.
big following,
Right.
and know nothing about real estate. But he
Doom
actually,
sells.
yeah,
You'll
doom
have the
sells.
biggest following if you're a doomer.
Exactly. So he basically pressed me by saying something like, "So you're one of those guys that say real estate never can come down." I'm like, "No, you moron! I freaking cashed out at the peak last time, and I'll do it again."
Yeah.
But he's like, "Okay, fine. How do prices fall?" So I thought about it for a minute, and because again, the lock-in effect, we basically don't have entry-level housing because of the lock-in effect. And I said, you know what? If you want to see prices at the national level fall, you've actually got to get a 4% mortgage rate. Because at a 4% mortgage rate, you're going to have all of these people, to your point, that have been locked in for 3, 4, 5 years. All the people that refied, again, which is millions more, potentially look at selling. Because what we have distorted in a broken housing market is we've taken all the entry-level housing, not all of it, much of it, and locked it up.
Yeah.
So if you got mortgage rates to 4%, there would be a wave after wave after wave of entry-level housing. And I would actually estimate that on the national level, we could see mortgage rates or the median home price fall, because what would cause this to happen is the inventory mix. We have been so distorted on the inventory mix. It's all been skewed to median and higher,
Sure.
which just takes the median up. If you unlock the bottom end at a meaningful level and we skew the other direction, guess what, Jason? Median home price falls.
Ooh, wow. That's one. I don't know. I might disagree with you on this, and I rarely disagree with you. But
I think it's a mathematical certainty. That's how confident I am.
well, let's just
let's play.
unpack that a bit, okay? So I get your point. It will increase inventory, but the question is, will it increase inventory because people will come out of their lock-ins, right? Will it increase inventory faster than people buy? Then it increases affordability, right? It's like the boxing match metaphor that I use when I say inflation deflation, right? Is it in one side of the ring you have low interest rates, lessening the lock-in effect. And on the other side of the ring, you have low interest rates increasing affordability, right? So I don't know. I'd say there might be if inventory comes on the market very quickly,
Right.
and the buyers don't have a chance to ramp up and get in the game, then there might be a very short period
Oh
that
yeah,
I think you
it'd
see
be
lower
brief.
prices. But
Yeah, it'd be
but I
6
mean,
months.
remember, all of those people that are suffering from the lock-in effect, 90% of them are going to buy something
True.
else,
Absolutely.
right? And
Yep.
so
Yep.
that gobbles up inventory then, but it really leads to a whole bunch of new buyers that aren't even in the game. So
Mhm.
I don't know, Michael. I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
Awesome, folks. So I'll do one more thing on this because I just want people to visualize this. And I did this on a whiteboard one time.
Yeah. Give me some numbers or something that
Yeah. So again,
make me agree.
yeah. So again, let's just think about writing 1 to 101 on the
Yeah.
whiteboard,
Okay.
right? From 1 to 101. You and I both know that the median in that example is 50,
Right.
Or 51. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I
50
believe
and a
has
half.
happened, yeah, 50 and a half. So what I believe has happened over the last 2 years is we've taken half of the upfront numbers off the board.
Mhm.
So instead of having 1 through 50, we have 1, 3, like all the even numbers are gone.
Yeah.
So we only have the odd numbers. And again, even if we take 10% off the higher end, it's still disproportionately skewed higher because now we just have, instead of having 101, we now have 56 transactions or whatever the math says it is.
Got it.
And that just means the median goes higher because the inventory mix is so distorted.
Mhm.
We lost the low end. So again, I'm trying to be very, because again, I don't think this is coming, but I'm like, you want prices to fall? You have to unlock a wave of the low end. And it can't just be the 50 that we're missing. Because again, we've been missing it for years. So suddenly you would have, all the evens back plus more evens and, all of these things. So it would just distort the supply curve to your point, or a small window.
Yeah.
Where just the transaction volume here is so distorted and the high end's not there. I don't know. That's, and again, I had to reach for that. I was like, that's the only way.
Maybe. I mean, I think the only way you really see prices soften in any meaningful way is just more supply. And the more supply doesn't come from existing housing stock turning into a listing, right? It means building, right?
Yeah.
It just means building. And by the way, Trump's plan to build on federal lands, I just want to say it again. That is not going to solve the problem of the housing shortage. It is not going to cause any significant price softening because most of the cost of that new home is not in the land.
Right.
Even if he gave the land away for free, which the government's not going to do that because then everybody would be outraged that why didn't I get free land, right? It wouldn't be fair. And so it's the construction cost. And if you are tariffing those materials, you're causing them to inflate in price. So, it would ease things a little bit, but on an entry-level home, most cost is not in the land. There's very little land cost in that equation. So even free land does not make prices come down. Okay?
Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm guessing the land cost of a new build's what, 10%, 12%
on an entry-level
total?
house, I'd say it's about 15%.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's like an 85-15 equation on an entry-level house. Now, on a more expensive home, that equation changes because you've got higher end finishes, you've got maybe a better piece of land. I'm just talking entry-level housing. Okay.
Yep. Gotcha. So back to the topic at hand, interest rates. So are you in the camp that we might see 2 cuts this year? Is that kind of where you're at? Do you think we do get 3? Are you JP Morgan and think we get 4?
Well, I don't think we'll see 4. I mean, that would really be Jerome Powell eating his hat. He's not going to do that. But we could see 2 or 3 this year. I mean, look, it's getting pretty late in the game here. It's already August. We don't have that much time to see that many more cuts. And I don't think, I think the job market is supporting his thesis that everything's okay, until unemployment goes up, we shouldn't be cutting. So really, the Fed is always playing the Phillips curve, right?
Yep.
And that's inflation versus unemployment, right? That's what that equation is.
Yep.
And that's what they really watch. So Powell has a claim, right?
Oh,
Unfortunately,
sure.
he has a claim to say, let's not cut because the job market's so good. But it's interesting because more and more layoffs due to automation and artificial intelligence are coming. We know
Hmm.
that. And Michael, we should spend a whole show talking about that sometime
Sure.
because I have really agonized over that. But just to sum it up, I go back to Elon Musk. Maybe you saw this clip of him. He says instead of universal basic income, it'll be universal high income. And
Mm.
I think what Elon was trying to say there is it's not about survival. We are in the golden age of technological progress. I mean, think about it. This is the era that our ancestors have been dreaming about since the beginning of time.
Mm.
We're here. Okay, like this is an amazing time to be alive. We are here. And that is going to create just untold prosperity. I mean, new millionaires and even billionaires are being created like left and right from the
Yeah.
AI revolution already. And we're just in the very, very early stages. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, we will definitely have that maybe be the next topic we go
yeah.
through. Let's change it up a little bit. I see you're in a different spot. I think you were in
Uh,
Scottsdale last time we talked. Now you appear to
yeah.
be in Sedona. What are you doing,
You
Jason?
see
You out
that
shopping for real
beautiful,
estate?
beautiful red rock behind me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what's Jason doing? You out shopping for a new home?
Yeah, I've just been home shopping in the Scottsdale Paradise Valley area in the Phoenix metro, and I thought I'd come up here. I've always loved Sedona. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful place. The views are just breathtaking, and if you
Yeah,
haven't been here, put it on your list, folks, because it's really an incredible place. And I know, Michael, you have a property here, and
I do.
so I've been looking at properties here as well. And it's just I have spent so much of my life looking at properties in different cities around the country and around the world. And I tell you, the game with real estate is always, it's just such a short supply type of
Mm.
thing. Every house is totally unique. And it is, even if you're spending many, many millions of dollars, it's always a bunch of compromises. You
Mm.
never get exactly what you want. And I know you could argue that that's because humans have unlimited wants, right? And
True.
and that's true, but you'd think if you're willing to drop 5, $6 million, you should be able to have anything. No, that's not true. Not even close. I mean, even if you're dropping, 13, $15 million, you're always compromising
Mm.
because houses are just in such short supply generally. To get the exact lot with the exact view in the right neighborhood with the restaurants and the retail nearby that you want. And it is just an asset that has extreme shortages. And if you think about that, that's why we have fair housing laws, right? Because it would be easy to say as a capitalist, right? You shouldn't have fair housing laws because if someone doesn't want to sell to purple people or rent to purple people, they could just go down the street. No, they can't. They
Hmm.
can't. That's why we need fair housing laws because it is just such a limited supply asset that you can't just go down the street.
Yeah.
Each property is so unique and so hard to recreate. That just makes it magical for investors.
Yeah. Again, real estate's really interesting. Again, you've shopped all over the country, probably all over the world.
All over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, when I look at real estate, it's I guess the one thing I take comfort in is it's it's once you understand the game, it's pretty much the same everywhere. Now, again, there's some legal rules you can't own here unless you're a
Right.
citizen, and those kinds of things. But the fun part I have with real estate is it's just like the game of Monopoly. Once you
Mhm.
understand the rules,
Yeah.
it's fun to play anywhere.
And on that Monopoly board, properties are limited.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I always laugh at, there's a meme or a post that goes around every once in a while. Can you imagine Jason playing the Monopoly game and never buying a piece of real estate? I
You,
mean,
you
really?
know, that's one of my early memories. I remember playing Monopoly with my mother, and she just kept beating me. And she just told me, Jason, you've got to buy some properties. So when I land on them, I'll pay you rent. I was just keeping my cash. I wasn't buying enough properties. And, that I'm not kidding. I remember like that scene.
Vividly.
I remember sitting there with the Monopoly.
Light bulb, light bulb, light bulb.
Yeah, it was a light bulb moment. Yeah.
Shout out Mom for teaching Jason the lessons of life.
Long before I was interested in real estate, that moment occurred. I must have been, oh gosh, how old was I? I was probably 8 years old, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Very cool. When was the last time you played Monopoly? Just curious.
It's been a while. I often buy for my people when we host events and so forth, the Monopoly card deck.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a quick version of Monopoly. It only takes about 15 minutes to play it. And so, for today's world, that's
it's better.
Yeah, I haven't played real Monopoly in a very long time with the board and everything, but I played the card game, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Jason, you're coming out to the Vegas event. You're going to be the keynote speaker on Saturday. We appreciate you and the ORAD family. What kind of message can the audience expect to hear from you think?
Well, it's several months away, so I don't know yet.
That's honesty for you.
I craft my messages with very current thinking, and I don't know what the current thinking will be then. But I would imagine, Michael, that we will by then be in a real housing booming market by then. I would imagine.
It really could be. Yeah, that's February of 26.
Who knows, right? We're gonna see a couple of rate cuts. We're going to see more pressure on Powell. Powell's about to be gone by that time.
Yeah, we'll know who the next Fed chair is by then too, right?
Yeah, right. We will.
Absolutely.
They won't be here yet, but we will. And so we'll see. It's going to be really, really interesting. And the strategy for that market will be different than the strategy for today's market.
I love that. Jason, you're amazing, man. I'm so happy you said yes to coming back each and every week. Where can people find you?
JasonHartman.com or my podcast or YouTube channel on any platform. Just type Jason Hartman.
Thank you, buddy. Take care.